Good morning. So Veterans Day, 11/11. Does anybody remember what it's called in Canada? Remembrance Day, very well. And what we're remembering are those who served in the armed services. And on Memorial Day, we remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Today, we remember them. We remember those who have been wounded, those who served in combat. Today, we want to sort of expand it a little bit and pay some special focus to the fact that there are a great many people who provide for the defense of the country, not just those who serve in combat, but those who provide for various support services as well. In fact, out of 22-some million veterans, the vast majority of them are not serving in combat or have not served in combat. They're providing support to enable the defense of the country. And then expand it out a little bit further, of course, to the families who also make tremendous sacrifices so that these people can do what they do. Our speaker today is going to address this for us. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in religion at Bernathen College, and you might have expected that maybe he would be a minister or a teacher. He enlisted in the United States Air Force, had a series of training experiences and practicing and so forth, not just in the United States, but provided service overseas in Great Britain. He provided service in the Iraq War. I think he was functioning in the Green Zone, what we call the Green Zone in Baghdad. He went on and got advanced degrees. He got a master's degree in National Security Affairs at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, and eventually earned a doctorate at the University of Pennsylvania in political science. And he has now come full service. Oh, I should say he's come full circle in his service, now serving in a different capacity at Bernathen College as a professor. He is Associate Professor of History and Political Science at Bernathen College, and he's the Chair of the Department of History and Social Sciences. So I'd ask you to give a warm welcome to retired Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Gregory Rose.
Thank you for inviting us to join you this morning. Here we are on another day with uniforms and flags, and our previous speakers have given us a taste of the difference between some of those. And I wanted to emphasize the distinction between some of those patriotic days, Memorial Day, Armed Forces Day, and Veterans Day. And to do that, we need to pass the first quiz of the morning. And you thought you were just going to go to sleep for a few minutes. So how many people in America? What's the population of the United States? 300 million. About 325 now. The second quiz question was answered by Reverend Barber. How many people in the armed forces right now serving in the military? Just over 1 million. Think about that a second. 325 million people in the country, just over 1 million serving in the military. So far less than 1% of the population is on active duty. Armed Forces Day in May recognizes those few citizens in the military. Memorial Day, also in May, honors those who died fighting for our country. Today, Veterans Day is set aside to remember every man and woman who has served time in the military. We honor every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guard, who gave some years of their lives to the service of the United States. As Mr. Odner just mentioned, there are about 20 million veterans today, so about 6% of Americans can claim the status or title of veteran. And today we remember them. They represent the millions more of American men and women who've served the Republic over the past 200 plus years. Fortunately, this country has been blessed with citizens willing to take up arms when the need arose. Notice that phrase, take up arms. We usually think about those who actually use weapons: the combat infantryman, the fighter pilot, the tank commander, the Navy SEAL. These are the warfighters, the pointy end of the spear. Some call them the trigger pullers. But for every fighter pilot or tank driver or rifleman, there are 3 people in support roles who are also serving in uniform. Now, sometimes flying over this campus, you might see a big dark gray Air Force jet. It's a C-17 Globemaster. Do you know how many rockets it can fire per minute? None. It's a transport plane, part of the logistical support that makes up so much of the military. Every trigger puller depends on those support people for food, shelter, ammunition, equipment, fuel, intelligence, weather information, medical support, a whole host of functions they need to do their jobs. When I was stationed at a fighter base, I used to go out on the flight line and see all the people who were swarming over the planes, making it possible for the pilots to take off and complete their mission. There's always a crew chief in charge of each aircraft. And avionics would come in and make sure the navigation equipment was working. Fuel trucks would come in. Electronic countermeasures, life support, ammunition. Then the pilots needed runway operations personnel to help get them airborne, and once in the air, air traffic controllers. Those pilots and all of the other trigger pullers in combat deserve every ounce of respect they get. But everyone who chooses to wear our country's uniform is doing something extraordinary. I use that word extraordinary on purpose. Remember, it's less than 1% of Americans who are currently in uniform. All of them are doing something out of the ordinary. They felt the call to serve in some capacity, and they answered. So, how do Americans properly thank their veterans? It can be as simple as saying thank you for your service, or hosting a nice event like this. But speaking as a veteran, I would like to see people thank us by living their lives well. Americans can thank veterans by taking full advantage of all the rights and privileges that they defended. Vote in every election. Speak and worship freely. Do your job as well as you possibly can. Fulfill your jury duty. Be conscientious husbands, wives, and parents. Volunteer your time for worthy causes. In short, make America a place worth defending. Do that, and every American will be proud to have served. I'll just finish with a quote from President Lincoln, who said it better than I could. Honor to the soldier and sailor everywhere who bravely bears his country's cause. Honor also to the citizen who cares for his brother in the field and serves, as he best can, the same cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rose, and apologies to you seniors up there. You can't see that down front here we have some special guests, people who have served in various capacities. And feel free to come up to the rail if you'd like. What I'd like to do is just hand the microphone down the line, and if you would just briefly give your name and say what it was that you did, and we'll see that some served in combat, some provided the important logistical support. So we'll start over here with Sergeant Jeremy Irwin.
My name's Jeremy Irwin, and I served in the United States Army as a combat engineer and a medic.
My name is Larry Eastwood, and I served in the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment in Germany, 1965, 1966. We had border security between Czechoslovakia and West Germany. Those borders are gone today. If you watched Sunday Night Football last week, you would have seen my outfit. They're doing border security in Afghanistan. Thank you.
My name is Geoffrey Cooper. My brother was Dennis and my brother Ray. We were all in the European theater of World War II. The main part of my job was acting on the front lines from September 15th of 1944 to May 6th of 1945. And I was on the front lines except for 30 days that whole period. And just one more thing and I'll go. I also was wounded and spent 30 days in the hospital in December and January. And no, I know I can't go any longer. Anyhow, had a wonderful time. I spent 30 days in the hospital with John Alden. So, thank you.
My name is Homer Needle. I was in the World War II near the end as in the aviation engineers. And I operated a crane and other heavy equipment. And I was in the Korean War also.
I'm George McCurdy. My notoriety is I'm the grandfather of Bryson and Nicole. I served in the military from 1953 until 1996. During that time, I spent 20 years as what they called loadmaster, drop master. I had a fun job. We would fly the plane and open up the back of the plane, and about 150 miles an hour material was going out the back. I got out of the military, active at duty, and went into college, theological school, and was ordained. And I had a dream I wanted to go back into the Air Force to be a chaplain. So for 26 years, I served as an Air Force chaplain. That is, I was a minister. I was a pastor. Affectionately, I was called Padre. I was called Sky Pilot. It didn't matter. I loved serving. And so I come before you today to say I felt it an honor to serve this country that I love so very much.
I'm Philip Smith, served during the Korean War in Germany, and my job was to break codes. Army Security Agency.
I'm Glenn Henderson, and I used the Army as part of my college experience. And I stood on this stage, and I was given a scholarship, which was a lot of money, to help me in college. And then I went on to do air defense, artillery, after graduating from college in the National Guard. So I didn't think that I have to serve full time. And then after 9/11, when the country needed me, they sent me to Bosnia for a year, where I did public affairs work, information operations cell work. And your principal has my number if any of you are interested in figuring out how you can use service and college together at the same time.
Good morning. I'm Bruce Henderson. I'm Glenn's dad, and he seriously outranks me, proud to say. I was drafted into the Army after I had finished college, did 2 years based in New Orleans. Primarily, I was driving amphibious trucks and did a lot of things, nothing really glamorous, but I really felt privileged to serve the country. Just for some historical context, This was just before Vietnam, during the period of the building of the Berlin Wall, the assassination of President Kennedy, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I just wanted to thank you all for hosting us every year with this event. It's always nice to be with you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Locke Brown. I'm Win Silla's dad, if that connects the field hockey girls. Congratulations. I graduated from the boys' school in 1968. The crust of the earth was cool at that time, contrary to popular opinion. It was my honor to serve in the U.S. Army as a helicopter pilot with one combat tour in Vietnam.
I'm Kent Cooper. I was in the Air Force in the mid-1970s, and I served in an outfit that had been developed at the height of the Cold War on the potential threat of the Russians putting nuclear weapons into satellites that they might be able to drop on us at any time, and our program was a missile system that was designed to take them out if that had to be done. As far as I know, it was never used to do that, but I operated tracking antennas at Thor missile launch complexes in California and out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
My name is Maxwell Blair. I served at the same time that Kent talked about in the Cold War. I served in West Germany, and that was in the years 1972 to 75. I did not want to stay in the military. I got out, and surprising, I went through and got a bachelor's degree, and then I served 33 years as a civil servant for the U.S. Air Force as a research aerospace engineer.
Thank you. How about, here we go.
I think I represent the youngest one here. I served 6 years in the Air Force. I was a senior airman as a Chinese cryptolinguist. I was stationed in Hawaii. I was also stationed at NSA. My job was to support the mission of all the over in Asia and Europe and such. And so my job was really to find out what was going on and make sure our country was safe. I actually had the honor and privilege of knowing Mr. Rose. We were both stationed in Monterey, California together, and that was one of my best memories. So it was truly an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. How about a hand for them? They're all standing. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if you could all see that, but it was a standing ovation. So thanks again. So no official announcements today, but we have tomorrow we have the Powder Puff. Powder Puff tomorrow, 7 to 9. Be there under the lights, correct? We have lights.